say something. Lightweight, step it aside when we coming. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Feeling the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. List something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I have before. Like the stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't cater to rich and a fan.
All right, welcome to Wide Awake Radio. It is Friday, the 17th. Oh, good grief. Today's the 17th. I have a tax bill that is due on this very day. So I'm extremely happy. I have a IRS bill that was due today. Hopefully it got to them in time because I don't want the government to go one more day without my additional $900 from last year. So I hope everybody else is having a better day and they don't have to worry about the IRS getting your money from last year. And the good news is that this tax cut has been passed today, and we're going to get into that. That's one of the topics I have written down. WikiLeaks, that's now leading to a UN plan to regulate the Internet. I dumped that story into the chat room a little bit earlier. But before I get rolling, let's see. It's the 17th of December. It is Friday. It's Open Topic Friday. If you're in the chat room, or if you're listening and not in the chat room, head on over there. We're going to have Reginald from DEMCAD joining me for the hour, and he's going to be fielding questions and from the chat room and callers. So it should be a very fun show. Usually this goes in many, many different directions, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. So I'm going to lay down a few ground rules, very few. Number one is if you're calling in, and regardless if you agree, disagree, whatever you want to talk about is fine, but we're not going to talk over each other. We had a little bit of a fiasco the last open topic Friday, and Brett is on the ready. And if it gets chaotic more than 5 seconds, he's going to turn everybody down but me, and I'll play a mediator. So call in if you disagree. Please call in. I definitely want the disagreeers calling in. If you disagree with the fact that we are in or heading toward economic collapse, I would love to hear your point of view. If you think that the worst is behind us, I'd love to hear that point of view. If you think preppers are nut jobs, I want to hear that. Or if you agree and you want to call in, please do so. And we're also trying to make it ladies' night. We had a comment in the chat room last night that we never have any ladies on the show, and that's partially true. Thinking back, I have the invitation out to about a half a dozen ladies who are either in the financial world or the political world. And some of them are tentatively scheduled. Hopefully by mid-next year we have some really very high-power ladies coming on the show to speak to us on the financial industry and also on the political system that we have. However, we do have many callers that call in that are ladies. In fact, Cookie's one of them, and we're going to be giving – she wanted to call in tonight, but for whatever reason she has difficulty calling through. She's constantly getting a busy signal, Brett. I don't quite understand that, but we're going to call her at the break and get her question. So, ladies first, call in, agree, disagree. It's all on the table tonight. I also want to make an announcement that starting today, our new website is up. It's still wideawakenews.com. Bonnie has been working really, really hard for the last week getting the site to be just right. And, all the feedback so far from you guys is it's a very professional-looking site. It's very easy to navigate through, and it's loaded with more information. So head on over to wideawakenews.com. Check out the new page. I hope everybody enjoys it. And for those of you in the chat room, send Bonnie a thank you because she's really been busting her hump to get this thing done. And, she's certainly underpaid because that is zero. So thank you, Bonnie, for working so hard to get that done. I know you had some late nights getting it all put together. All right, let's get into some potential topics for tonight. Well, before I do that, let me go ahead and bring Reginald on because I think I hear him in the background. He's Reginald from DEMCAD. Those of you that don't know him, which is probably absolutely no one that's listening to me right now, his YouTube channel is DEMCAD. He just went over 13,000 13,000 subscribers, 13,037 right now. Congratulations on that, Reginald. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you just fine. I kind of got scared because Brett just sent me a message saying no one, and I thought we might have lost you. But can you hear me fine?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you fine. I was just wondering because of these phone lines. That's all. How you doing?
No, good, Reginald. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Things this year wasn't really the greatest year, but I wasn't really surprised about that. But it'll be kind of fun to talk about the whole retail holiday season because I came across something, a lot of news stories talking about how there's going to be more hiring this Christmas, this holiday season, according to Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, which is a Chicago outplacement company. They said that even though last year, well, in 2008, there was only 324,000 people hired, which was a 22-year low for a holiday season, that they expected a big boost to 550 to 650,000 workers this holiday season. And I just thought it was kind of strange because the economy isn't really significantly better than that time period. So why would there be a significant boost? And I was walking around. I didn't really go holiday shopping, but I was hanging out with some friends. I was at Walmart. I was listening to these employees complain about how they're already cutting hours back because business is slowing down. They have people going on 4-hour shifts. I thought that was quite strange. And that was just one of the many incidents that I've seen here in Flint, Michigan. Maybe things are better where you're at, but I don't know.
Well, as far as the Christmas season now, I don't know how to gauge it better than last year or not. I mean, we have more open retail space than we did last year, that without a doubt. There's a local mall that I featured in a couple videos. The title of it was Ghost Mall, and then follow up on a Ghost Mall 1 year later, and it had lost more stores in it. And actually, I found out today that now the entire mall is in foreclosure. And I live in the capital of Montana, and we actually have more money flooding in here because of stimulus and because of the politicians are sending it to the capital than most of the cities in my state. So. I don't see that it's going to be a better spending season, but again, Reginald, the truth is, always the first to suffer when the mainstream media is projecting anything right now. The simple fact of the matter is, even by the token of the unemployment rate. Last year it was better than it was right now, even by the U3 number. So the idea that that we're having a better Christmas season is lost on me. Blue Cat asked in the chat room who's managing the mall, and I have no idea who's managing the mall. It's the mall has 37 spots in it. A year ago it had 17 stores in it. 6 months ago it had 14 stores in it, and now it's in foreclosure. It's going to have no stores pretty soon. So as far as who's managing it, I don't personally know who's managing it. Reginald, you put out a video yesterday, and in it was I was wrong. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I'm on your page right now, and I'm assuming by reading some of the comments, you were beating yourself up on some predictions you made for last year, and I definitely want to get into that. So what was that video about?
Well, I noticed that a lot of times when people make predictions, they only focus on when they have something right, but they never talk about when they have something wrong. For example, at the beginning of the year, I thought that the GOP was going to gain about 7 seats in the Senate and 35 in the House. I was right about that in the sense that they had more than 35, and I was pretty close with the Senate. But then towards the end of the whole campaign season, I pretty much predicted that they had a chance of getting as many as 9 and 10. But I was wrong about that, and I'm one of those people who acknowledge when I'm wrong and I acknowledge when I'm right. I was right about the federal government stepping in and helping some of these state governments pay some of their bills, but I was wrong about the timing of the currency crisis. I expected a currency crisis to develop in the latter part of 2010, and hopefully it doesn't happen. It'll just be my luck. I thought we got through this year and we have some crisis, but I was just acknowledging that I was wrong about the timing of the economic collapse, but the fundamental problems that will lead to a currency crisis still exist. So even though that hasn't happened yet, the derivatives, the debt, the fundamental problems still exist. So there's still very likely that we're going to end up with some type of economic crisis. So that was the point of my whole video.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I don't see. I mean, matter of fact, I think it's here, Reginald, and I think what we've just seen is a papering over to keep it to try to keep it contained. All right, we got Rich from California on hold. We're going to go to you first right after the break, and Cookie, we're going to give you a call when we bring Rich on, so you'll be following up after him. Please stay tuned for more Open Topic Friday. We got DEMCAD Reginald co-hosting tonight, so get into the chat room, post your questions, or get 877-342-6673 and call in. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake Radio. Very busy chat room. We have close to 90 people in there. If you're listening, go over to wideawakenews.com. Jump in the chat room if you'd like to post questions or comments there. I've written down some of the questions, and unfortunately it's scrolling so fast I might have missed your name. I will get to these questions. The first one the first thing I'm going to do is get to our caller because he's been holding the longest here before these questions were even posted. So... we have, are you there, caller?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rich, California?
Yes, I am.
All right, man, you're on. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Charlie.
Is it Tile Van? Is that your username, Tile Van?
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be a license plate on a truck I had. I'm a tile contractor, if that'll clear your mind up so you don't have to question the hell out of yourself. What the hell does that mean?
Well, you don't have to worry about it. I've been in the building industry for going on 22 years, and I've done every single job in that industry, including everything from hanging drywall to managing companies. So I know
me
exactly.
too. I've been in business for 15 years now on my own, and it's the roughest 3 years I've ever had in my entire life, being in the trades for 30 years. By the way, both of you guys, I want to commend Charlie, your last video, that was fantastic, and DEMCAD. That video was right on, and sometimes when you're making predictions, because I've been doing this for 30 years myself, since I was 15 years old, and I'm 46 now, and some of the things that you guys are talking about that I have seen myself paying attention to this, you guys might want to pick up a book called The Secrets of the Federal Reserve from Houston Mullins. He's been at it for a long time, and I picked up on that from my grandparents when I was that age. Unfortunately, my parents aren't in tune like I am. My grandparents were born at the early 1900s, and they were aware and lived through some pretty tremendous times back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s with the many things that was going on, implementing where we're living it out now. They tried to stop it back then. They obviously didn't get a good foothold on it. And DEMCAD, I'll tell you, you're right on the money. And Charlie, I like I said, that you couldn't have said it any better. Your last video, Let Insanity Reign. Yeah. That is absolutely, actually, I feel like I'm running around in a society with a bunch of zombies right now. I really do. Because you're certainly not alone in your feeling. I mean, I'm sure, Reginald, you can attest to this. I get comments like this all the time of, you hit the nail on the head, you're speaking for me. And it's unfortunate because we live in it's a duality. You have the vast majority of people that want to latch on to the Glenn Beck idea of
hey, everything's going to be okay. We need to forget about what's happened in the past. We're Americans. This is what we do. We suck it up by the bootstraps and we move on. And all that might be true, but I think it's the second that we let history go into the dustbin of history, then we're more likely to have it repeated or flung onto us again. You're speaking of people who've been writing about the Federal Reserve since its inception, and we keep being sold a bill of goods. That okay, we're going to have our politicians take care of us. We need to get these guys healthy. A central bank's good for the country. Wall Street's good for the country, and just shut up and take it. And I think the time to stop dwelling is not now. Now, I've caught some heat recently on that subject. We got to turn the corner and we got to put on a rosy picture to things, or we got to at least acknowledge that we can't do anything about it. And I disagree wholeheartedly. I think the second we take the spotlight off of the corruption and the criminality that led us to where we're at is the second we're signing our own death warrant, essentially. Reginald, did you have thought on that?
Well, I mean, there's no consequences for what's been happening so far. We have Washington politicians taking money away from the people and giving it to criminals on Wall Street. And there's really no consequences. I mean, we all saw what happened with Goldman Sachs and their little scheme where they created these derivatives, these options, and they knew they were junk, and they actually positioned themselves against the junk while they sold it to their clients. So until people go to prison, until people start to actually go to prison, it's going to continue. And the way our system is set up, it is pretty much designed to benefit them. So there are some solutions, but the question is, are we willing to do it? Are we willing to put people in prison for their criminal behavior? Because a lot of people, I hear them say, well, capitalism failed and Obama's a socialist and all this stuff. Look, let me tell you guys something about socialism and capitalism. I don't care what system you support, but in either system, there is no banker bailout in either capitalism or socialism. That is not a characteristic of capitalism or socialism. That is a characteristic of corporatism.
Absolutely.
I agree with you. Hey, we're going to jump into break. Did you have another point you wanted to make, Talvan?
Well, pretty much that's the storyline right there. I mean, actually, there is a fix to this, believe it or not, and it's just that people won't listen is the problem, and you can see it. And that is, like I was saying, everybody's like in this translucent, euphoric zombie state, and they're being led like cattle, and it's sick. It's actually sickening. But there is a fix to this, you guys, and it's a real simple fix. But it's just a matter of getting the popularity to fix it and the drive and the will for it. That's the key thing. But again, like we're
jumping into break here.
Tell the cows.
Talvan, hold on the line. I'll give you a few seconds on the other side of the break, but it's going to cut you off here. So hold on. We'll be right back with Talvan and DEMCAD and Cookie. I know you're on hold. You're coming up next after Talvan makes his last point here. We'll be right back with more Wide Awake Radio right after this. Okay, we're going to jump right back to Rich, also known as Talvan, in the chat room, and hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm getting messages that your audio was kicked off. I think it maybe just happened in the chat room, but now I'm getting messages it's back on. Rich, I've got Cookie behind you, so please go ahead and continue what you were saying.
Finish this up quick.
No problem.
Until the cows come home, nothing is going to change. No one will change. The mindset is not changing, and that is the problem right there, you guys. And I don't have enough time in a quarter of my lifetime to explain how to fix this problem. There is a way to fix this problem using their Disneyland money. believe it or not.
Well, it sounds like it might be a whole program on that, Rich.
I've been writing this plan out for about 10 years now because I see the corruption of a system that actually promotes crime. This system, the way it is, and we all know who the criminals are. We went to a revolution not because of misrepresentation of taxation. That was just a small little tidbit of the problem, you guys. Look at who was in control. That was the problem to begin with. The aristocracies, the dynasties, the royals, these people, all it has is this. The names have been changed to protect their innocence. The way that they class status name themselves. Look up the original 13th Amendment. Look it up. It's never been ratified. It was if you understand, and I only know this from my own family's history, coming to the United States from England in the 1500s on a grant from the King of England. They had welfare. They had nothing is new under the sun, my friends. I will tell you this.
No, I agree with you, Rich. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I hate to do it, but I got them lining up now behind you.
You got to do that, and that's fine. I will.
If you have something that you mentioned writing, if you have something that you've written down, please send it to me at info@wideawakenews.com. I'll happy to look at it, and maybe we can get you on to do a show on your research and what you found. I would agree with you. The way that a lot of the institutions have come into being in this country. Like last night's trivia question: when was the Federal Reserve established? And it was on the 23rd of December, 1913. While most of the representatives were not even there. So I agree with you. There's the system
I'll do
has
that
been
because I tell you what, I think a lot of people would agree with my thought in the concept of how we can fix this.
All right, man. Send it to me.
People.
Send it to me. I greatly appreciate your call.
And they'll be forced to have to deal with it.
Rich, can you hear me? Hello. Do I have anyone?
Well, you have me.
All right. Rich, I don't know what happened, but thanks for the call, Rich. I greatly appreciate it. Please send it to me at info@wideawakenews.com, and I'll check it out. We're going to go to Cookie because she's been holding for about 15 minutes. Reginald, I have some questions for you out of the chat room, but let's go to Cookie because she's been patiently waiting. Cookie, are you there?
I am here.
Ha-ha. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Hey. I got a question for you, Reginald.
Sure.
First of all, what do you think the next year is going to bring?
Well, like I said, I don't think it's going to be all gloom and all doom, but because of recent developments with HIV and the fact that they found an antibody that could neutralize 91% of HIV strains and some other stories, I actually think there's a real possibility that we may have a scientific breakthrough in medicine. Maybe we might not see the cure for cancer or HIV or Alzheimer's, but we may see something that would be the foundation of it. I think
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, because they actually found something that could take out 91%. And this is huge, 91% of the strains of HIV. They haven't found anything like it before. Nothing, and it occurred naturally in this gay guy, the gay black guy. And I thought it was quite fascinating. So at this point, I have to figure out how to make that naturally occur, and how to get other people's bodies to produce that. So I thought it was pretty interesting. So that's one of the things I see.
Here's one of the things I think it might happen. I'm not sure. I'm concerned about this. The looming over our head crash that's going to come sooner or later. And I'm thinking that this continuing resolution that they're talking about now to keep the government running. That
yes.
There might be the key to something, like they're going to keep things running until, whenever, and then there's going to be some, false flag of some kind and something's going to go wrong.
Well, Go ahead, Reginald. Sorry.
Oh, I think the crisis it's pretty much baked in a cake. I mean, with quantitative easing too, they pretty much made themselves clear which direction they want to go in. The Federal Reserve and the government and the deficit spending. We had $150 billion deficit for the federal government in November. They pretty much know where they're going with all this. This isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable at all. So the consequences to this nonsense is going to happen, whether it's next year or the year afterwards. But I think it's going to be a lot sooner rather than later. I think the Eurozone isn't working. Ireland and a number of other countries have far too much debt. It's just not workable anymore. We're going to see at least one country move away from the Eurozone. Germany has no incentive to stick around. So
no,
I don't see any way that they're ever going to be able to pay off the debt, and so that's why I think there's going to be this massive crash, and they're going to implement whatever is going to become new and all that.
You're right. You're both right. And the thing of it is, we don't hear a lot about that. You really got to dig to find out what's going on in Europe right now. But there's hardly a country in Europe that literally, I mean, there's hardly a nation in Europe that makes up the Eurozone that isn't figuring out either how to circumvent or to get out of the Eurozone, or their citizens aren't protesting. And these protests are starting to turn violent. I mean, if anybody saw that video that was on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I came across
they're freaking out. They're freaking out, and it's going to come here, Reginald. Cookie and Reginald, I really do think it's coming here, and it's going to be in the form of, the Tea Party that was co-opted and the wave election that happened. When they get sworn in next year, I think austerity, like a lot of people, myself included, have been saying, is in vogue. When it's implemented here, it's going to cause pain, plain and simple, and we will see the kind. Why would we be any different? When these austerity implementations begin to happen, why would we be any different than what's happening in Greece or Ireland or England?
Well, I don't think we are any different, and I think the violence is already starting in different places. Like, there's in Michigan here in DEMCAD. I know you're familiar with this. The murder rate is the highest it's ever been in Flint, and every day there's 2 or 3 armed robberies in Lansing, and that's just a sign of stuff that's coming because people are broke and they don't have anything else to do, as far as trying to get money to feed their children or pay their bills, or not that it's an excuse for it, but it's real life. It happens.
Yeah, I used to think that with the increase in unemployment, you would see an increase in crime, and I was wrong in the year 2009 because we saw a big increase in unemployment, and we didn't see a big increase in crime. We actually saw a decrease in crime. What I didn't factor in was the entitlement program. I should have said resources. When you have a decrease in resources, you have an increase in crime.
But now that the resources are running dry.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's not as much running dry as it's our turn to have austerity. I mean, we're really there's billions upon billions of dollars of tax breaks that are going to be going to the top 1%, the top 10th of 1%, and the people who are going to be cut loose are going to be the 43 million people. Maybe not all at once, but requirements are going to certainly be ratcheted up for 43 million people who are on food stamps, which leads me to this would be a good time to share one of the questions that came out of the chat room, which is what is the debt per citizen in 2010? And I looked up the answer during the break. If you look at the $13,879 billion debt that we consider as national debt, that breaks down to $44,611 per citizen. But if you look at a number that I think is more terrifying, which is the unfunded liabilities of $111 trillion, that brings the liability to $1,011,263 for each tax-paying citizen in this country.
That's a scary number.
It's a terrifying number, which leads me to the next place I want to go, which is the moniker of doom and gloomer. And Cookie, please stay on the line because you can jump in here. You watch a lot of videos on YouTube. You tune into a lot of different alternative media sources, so you can give your opinion on this as well. But Reginald, doom and gloomer, I've even seen it on some of your comments recently. I know it's been an increase on mine. And the idea, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. The idea that I'm ever going to change my channel or change this radio program, I can tell you right now that's never going to happen. I'm never going to adopt a faith, hope, and charity type mantra because I think it's like you said. Until accountability is put onto the people who led us to where we are, I will never stop talking about the crime of the biggest crime in the history of the planet, which is the implosion of all economies around the world, at least all so-called free democracies around the world.
I think that's absolutely right. We have to be true to who we are. There's no way that we can just act like, hey, put on a smiley face and none of this has happened. I mean, they can call us doom and gloom, but I think it's more being realistic.
Yeah, I agree, Cookie. Reginald, did you have a thought on it? Are you seeing an uptick in people just trying to tell you, hey, it's all getting better, start talking about something else? Although you might not get as much because you do a broad range of videos. Oh, yeah, I talk about a lot of different things. At this point, it's really sinking into people. I think once you get to the 2 or 3 year mark, people sort of realize that, the jobs still aren't here. I mean, people have been unemployed. We have an extraordinary amount of people who have been unemployed for over a year. I mean, a lot of people have been unemployed for a long, long, long time. And when that happens, I think you have a change in the mood of the country. And I think you're seeing that in little areas. But this holiday season, you may see it even more, simply because, like you said, the austerity is going to start to kick in, and the states and the local governments are running out of resources. They're taking away food stamp money they're taking away federal food stamp money to give to this Obama federal program, which is for school kids' lunches and something like that. So when you see stuff like that, it starts to affect them psychologically, and they start to see the truth, and you see a change in their behavior. And not to be misunderstood, I mean, I understand the fatigue that comes from pulling these stories out and looking at. Pardon me? Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, a lady in the chat room last night sent me a great email. She's in there now. But last night about the things she's doing to help in her community with gardening and teaching, and I think that's outstanding. And I love those kind of stories, and they're welcome on here. Matter of fact, she'll probably come on as a guest here maybe next week. She's a little bit under the weather right now, but the reality needs to get out there. And all you have to do is turn on a television if you want a fluff feel good story. If you want to hear about 43 million people on food stamps, but then hear 5 other stories that tell you how everything's getting better, and all we have to do is give more power and more control to the people who got us here. Those kind of stories are everywhere. So alternative media, websites like Wide Awake News, channels like DEMCAD, that is where you have to go to find pure truth, I think. So. Cookie, Charlie, do you have any other points? I just wanted to say before I hang up here is that I think that it's really important. I know everybody's talking about the inflation, especially at the grocery store and at the gas pump, but it's going to be cheaper to prep now than it ever is going to be any time in the future. And everybody, you've got to be responsible for taking care of yourself and prepping enough that you might be able to help somebody else. And learning skills like we were talking about in the chat room last night with Blue Cat, that learning skills and talking to people that know what they're doing. Miss C. Gypsy's a great resource for prepping. She really knows her stuff, and it's things like that. Just networking with people that that you meet, and knowing that you've got to you can't depend on the government for anything. You've got to take care of yourself. Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point that this show needs to do more of, which is point to resources like the people you just mentioned. Cookie, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for your help in the chat room. I was honored. For those of you who don't know, Cookie is one of the original members of the program. I think she was there the very first night, so she's a big part of the show. Thank you very much, Cookie. All righty. Thanks, Charlie. Bye, DEMCAD. All right. Take care. All right. We're going to go to Linda from Ohio. Linda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Linda.
I just wanted to inform you, and this has been very well researched, that in March 20th, 1969, there was a pediatric conference held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Lamont Restaurant at 8:30 p.m. At that meeting was an insider, a Dr. Richard L. Day, who told the audience to turn off their recorders, no taking notes, but there was one physician, a Dr. Lawrence Dunnigan, who died several years ago, and he was a very well-respected physician. He took notes on paper napkins, and when he saw what Dr. Richard L. Day told them at this conference, he made a tape called The New Order of the Barbarians, and there Randy Engel, who is a great researcher, interviewed him. And if you go to the Internet, you'll see, if you type in New Order of the Barbarians, there's a 3-tape transcript that you can get off of the Internet. You can also get a copy of the tape from Randy Engel. But anyway, what he said was there is a cure for cancer. It's in the Rockefeller Institute. He said that he was talking about VCRs before VCRs even came out and what they were going to do to the television. He also said that there would be a bank holiday during the winter time when it was very cold, and during a holiday when people, many of them, would be away from their homes. And so if anybody wants to get an idea of what is planned, and much of already has happened, just Google in the New Order of Barbarians.
You know what? While you were talking, I went and I put it in a browser and looked it up. I'm going to be honest with you, Linda. I've never ever heard of this before. Reginald, have you?
Me either.
I found the link. I found the link and I dropped it into the chat room, and I certainly will check it out. Can you give us 2 or 3 minutes of what these predictions are, or what this insight is?
We will have sex without reproduction and reproduction without sex. Homosexuality will be pushed. There will be a demise pill where we will just have in other words, medical care will be so expensive that the elderly, they'll get together at a party and their relatives can say goodbye to the elderly and they'll give them a demise pill. You can see that with the new Obamacare. In fact, I heard a physician say that if he didn't want to do to practice the orders that were given to him on patient care, what would happen to him? I have that someplace. I'll have to send that interview to you.
Absolutely.
And they said first he will be fined $150,000, and he says, and if it happens again, and they said then he will be jailed. And I think that was in front of the Congress.
It's very, very interesting. And if you have something on that, will you send that to me at info@wideawakenews.com? I'd love to read it, and I'll check.
You mean on the physician?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm good friends with a lot of people who are in the homeopathic medicine industry, I guess you'd call it, and I've heard talk for quite some time about curing a lot of the body's ailments through nutrition. And I truly do believe that Big Pharma is only outdone by the finance industry on Capitol Hill as far as the number of paid spokesmen they have coming up there. So,
well, have you ever heard of Raymond Royal Rife? R-I-F-E?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
well, he had a cure for all diseases, and that was way back in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah,
and,
he had
they
was
had
a
a black
modulator,
tie
wasn't
dinner
it?
for him. I think you can even find his picture on the internet where all the physicians had a big black tie dinner for him, and then of course they had to destroy him.
Well,
but anyway.
I mean, we can get into like what some of the inventions Tesla came up with. The idea that we're still 100-plus years using an internal combustion engine. We're still transmitting electricity with 150-year-old technology.
Oh, yeah.
So it is very interesting stuff, and I really, really would appreciate you sending that to me, and I did dump that link into the chat room. Reginald, I want to kick it to you. Do you follow much as far as homeopathic medicine? I mean, that is important, considering if we did go into a collapse scenario, being able to take care of ourselves through more organic means is certainly going to be critical.
No, I don't know a lot about that stuff. It's one of my areas of weaknesses. So.
Well, I think they've even started to call looking for organic food and trying to treat disease that way. I think there is a mental disorder named after that. I mean, they've covered all their bases. I know my daughter has a raw food restaurant, and I'm sure they'll be coming after her.
Yeah. I mean, the laws that are being passed.
That there were some communities that were going to start making people that dealt with food be fully vaccinated. So just when you think you've figured everything out, there's another sliver in the.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Linda, thank you very much for the call.
Okay,
I appreciate it, and I look forward to getting that information. All right, Reginald, we only have a few minutes left. One of the questions was your predictions for 2011. Cookie asked you that. Do you have anything that you want to cover in the last few minutes?
As far as predictions or anything in general? Because we just
anything in general.
Well, Ireland, they were just downgraded by Moody's Investor Service, so their debt has been downgraded. This has happened a lot this year. So, like I said, I think that we're going to see at least one Euro country move away from the Eurozone. If Germany has any sense, they'll be the first ones to get out because, I mean, why should they carry all that debt? I mean, they don't have, personally, all that debt. They're carrying other countries' debt, but that's a whole other issue there. The dollar situation, I see gold and silver continuing to go up. I see not only silver, but also oil, because oil is also going up right now. I think it's at $91 or $92. These are just some of the things I see happening. I want to know, what do you expect to happen next year?
Oh, that's a great question, and here's what I expect to happen in 2011. I think the vogue catchword out of Washington is austerity. I think our politicians will have cover because it's going to be 2 years between the so-called air quote wave election where the Tea Party got in. And folks, I'm not downgrading or dismissing the Tea Party. I was one of the original guys out there when George Bush was still president, protesting the insane spending and the insane bailouts. But I think the Koch brothers co-opted Tea Party is going to give cover to this austerity that's going to be presented to us in 2011. I think that we will see, as Reginald said, Europe kind of break apart as far as the Eurozone. There's a lot of frustration, and you see that by some of the members of the European or the Eurozone Parliament coming out and losing their mind during session while they're all sitting together. That one video that sticks in my mind where he gets up there and asks, "Who the hell do you think you people are? You're usurping liberty, and you're usurping the ability for the citizens of these countries to even vote until they agree to sign on to your tyrannical bailouts." So I think we're going to see definitely Reginald, I agree. I think Germany, they're bearing the brunt. Germany, I believe right now, is the third largest economy in the world, and they're bearing the brunt for these bailouts. And I think we will see the euro absolutely tank, and I think the U.S. dollar will be right behind it. I think Bernanke will continue his quantitative easing. $600 billion will just be the beginning, especially if there's other currency problems with the euro or the yen or the yuan. But primarily, I think we're going to see a falling euro. That will be followed by a spike up in the dollar and then a collapse in the dollar. Gold and silver are going to go to the moon. And austerity is coming, and that equates to what I think is going to be real civil unrest. Unfortunately, it's not going to be informed, for the most part, it's not going to be informed pushback by an awake populace. It's going to be a pushback by a really, really ticked-off populace that their only hope has been yanked away from them. One thing that happened today, this Bush tax cut was extended, and on the nightly news tonight, the NBC nightly news, I listened to him tell me that the unemployment benefits have been extended for 13 months, and that's an absolute, utter half-truth. If you're in the pipeline right now, and you're in one of 25 states that allow it to go to 99 weeks, you'll be allowed to go to that distance. However, if you're sitting at 90 weeks right now, you got 9 weeks left. If you're sitting at 98 weeks, you got 1 week left. So we're going to have millions and millions of dislocated, disenfranchised, angry citizens who have lost all hopes in 2011. That's just the way I see it. I'm not trying to be a doom and gloomer, but I'm going to report the reality that I see. Reginald, DEMCAD, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you coming on and co-hosting and fielding questions. You always do a fantastic job. I'm sure everybody is, but if you're not, go subscribe to him on YouTube. Stay tuned for Jeff Ritz because he's coming up next, and everybody have a great weekend. Thanks all.
What did he say?